You possess a truth that most will never uncover, not because it's concealed or because they lack worth, but because their consciousness hasn't rippled to the right frequency yet. There's a transmission flowing through the fabric of existence, like electricity seeking its circuit, a teaching that materializes only when your awareness vibrates at the precise wavelength needed to decode it. This isn't New Age philosophy, wrapped in mysterious language. This is the operating system of the cosmos itself. And if you're watching this right now, in this exact moment, something within you has synchronized with the frequency that guided you here. The ancients knew the secret. They didn't craft text to merely inform minds. They created activation codes. Every metaphor, every parable, every seemingly simple narrative within their teachings wasn't entertainment. It was a frequency key. And that key only unlocks when the reader's inner tuning fork resonates at its exact pitch. What you're about to experience isn't just another collection of spiritual stories. It's living consciousness technology, a transmission that doesn't exist in linear time, but in vibrational alignment. Your presence here, watching this now, that's not random chance. That's universal recognition. Let me reveal what's actually occurring. The universe doesn't operate like a transaction machine where you deposit effort and withdraw rewards. It operates as an infinite broadcast system, continuously transmitting signals across countless frequencies. What you receive depends entirely on your tuning capacity. Most people exhaust themselves trying to force reality to broadcast on their wavelength, never understanding they simply need to adjust their own receiver. You've been conditioned to believe that acquiring knowledge requires relentless searching. That wisdom rewards those who dig deepest, push hardest, venture furthest into mystery. But here's the hidden truth. The most profound teachings don't come through force. They arrive through resonance. Reflect on your own journey. Haven't certain books materialized at the precise moment your soul needed them? Haven't conversations unfolded exactly when you were wrestling with unspoken questions? Haven't mentors appeared just as you became capable of absorbing their wisdom? This isn't coincidence. This is reality's fundamental architecture. The universe isn't a static stage where you perform. It's a responsive field of intelligence that mirrors your consciousness. When your awareness reaches a specific vibrational threshold, when you've integrated enough experiences, questioned enough assumptions, released enough limiting beliefs, suddenly what you need manifests. The ancient wisdom we're exploring today calls itself the ritual of the universe. But here's what distinguishes it from everything else you've encountered. It doesn't wait to be found. It finds you. Let that sink in. It doesn't sit passively awaiting discovery. It recognizes when your consciousness has evolved to the frequency where its teachings can germinate. Then, and only then, does it reveal itself. This is the primary cosmic principle most seekers completely overlook. The treasures of existence aren't being withheld. They're waiting for you to become the person capable of receiving them. You can't manufacture readiness. You can't simulate alignment. The universe reads your actual frequency, not the narrative you tell yourself about your evolution. If this resonates deeply, pause and hit that like button. It helps this frequency reach others who are ready. Subscribe to maintain this connection. When your frequency harmonizes with what's available, reality restructures itself to deliver precisely what you need. Here's what most spiritual teachings overlook. They emphasize what you must do, which practices to perfect, what stages to achieve. But the deepest wisdom doesn't demand action. It invites recognition to perceive with fresh awareness what's always been present, invisible only because you weren't vibrating at the frequency where it becomes perceptible. Consider this. Ultraviolet light exists whether you perceive it or not. It's there, radiating constantly, but human eyes aren't calibrated to detect it. Does that negate its existence? No. It means your perception hasn't evolved to encompass it yet. The instant you use UV detecting equipment, suddenly an entire spectrum of reality that was always present becomes visible. Consciousness operates identically. Dimensions of possibilities surround you this very second. Opportunities, connections, breakthroughs. Resources that are absolutely real, but completely undetectable at your current frequency. Not because they're being hidden, but because your awareness hasn't expanded to perceive them. The moment it does, reality doesn't transform. Your perception of reality transforms, which practically speaking, changes everything. Let me transport you somewhere. Actually, close your eyes briefly. Visualize walking through a mystical marketplace existing between dimensions. There's a merchant there, seated behind a display of objects radiating impossible luminescence. Containers carved from crystallized moonbeams, mirrors reflecting not appearances but possibilities, artifacts woven from dreams that never manifested but always mattered. Her name is Sofia Castellano, and she faces an inexplicable paradox. She cannot complete any sale, not because customers don't desire her treasures, they're desperate for them. But whenever someone attempts to purchase her items, their payment evaporates. Gold transforms to autumn leaves. Silver becomes mist. Even diamonds dissolve to sand upon touching her palm. For years she believes she's cursed, the universe's most unsuccessful merchant, bearing goods that reject transaction. Until one twilight, everything shifts. A seeker arrives, eyes weathered from searching, hands empty from letting go. He doesn't know what he seeks, only that he's been seeking through lifetimes. When his attention falls upon a simple brass chalice that countless others tried purchasing before him, something miraculous occurs. The chalice begins resonating, not audibly, but energetically. It pulses with a frequency only he can sense. When he lifts it, every atom in his being recognizes what his mind can't yet comprehend. This object has been waiting specifically for him, not for anyone else. For him, at this precise moment, after this exact journey. When he offers payment, the coins remain solid in Sophia's grasp. The chalice has found its destined keeper. This reveals Sophia's revolutionary discovery. Her items weren't rejecting sale. They were rejecting purchase by those unprepared for them. Each object was encoded with a unique consciousness signature, materializing fully only when someone whose awareness matched that signature appeared. The universe doesn't operate through scarcity economics. It operates through resonance physics. What you're seeking is simultaneously seeking you, but not the facade you present. It's seeking the authentic you that's emerging, the you that's experienced enough, evolved enough, opened enough to receive what's approaching. Here's the practical truth. Every book that revolutionized your perspective, every teaching that shattered your limitations, every relationship that catalyzed your growth, none were accidents. They were cosmic appointments. Your consciousness broadcast a signal, and reality delivered exactly what you needed, precisely when you could integrate it. The question isn't whether abundance exists. The question is, are you calibrated to the frequency where abundance can locate you? Here's where most get trapped. They believe calibration means working harder, meditating longer, affirming louder. But calibration isn't about adding, it's about removing. It's about clearing the static, the limiting beliefs, the unworthiness stories that jam the signal already trying to reach you. Sophia's marketplace exists in your reality right now. Daily, you pass treasures awaiting your readiness, relationships that could transform you, opportunities that could elevate you, insights that could liberate you. They're there, present, real, but invisible, because your consciousness hasn't matched their frequency. So how do you elevate your frequency? How do you become someone who perceives what's currently invisible? Not through force, but through presence. Not through striving, but through allowing. Not through accumulating more, but through releasing what blocks reception of what's already here. Stop here. Don't scroll past. What follows isn't just information, it's activation. If you allow it, this will transform how reality delivers to you starting now. Tonight, before sleeping, find quiet solitude, not for traditional meditation or achieving perfect stillness, simply to remember. Recall the past month, year, decade. Identify 3 instances, 3 moments, teachings, or encounters that arrived at the perfect instant. Not too early when you couldn't understand, not too late when the opportunity had passed, but exactly when your soul was prepared to receive. Perhaps someone casually mentioned a book that answered your unspoken question. Perhaps a crisis forced the breakthrough you'd been avoiding. Perhaps a stranger spoke words that rewrote your self-understanding. As you remember each one, speak this activation aloud. I recognize the perfect timing of all gifts. I trust the intelligence guiding their arrival. I am ready to receive what seeks me now. This isn't positive thinking for emotional comfort. This is quantum acknowledgement. You're signaling the consciousness field. I see you. I recognize the intelligence orchestrating my path. I'm opening to receive what's already approaching. When you practice this consistently, something extraordinary unfolds. The universe responds to your recognition. Opportunities that would have passed unnoticed suddenly become obvious. Teachers who would have walked by pause and engage. Resources that would have remained hidden practically announce themselves. Why? Because you've become energetically visible to what's seeking you. This gratitude gateway isn't just appreciation, it's calibrating your consciousness to the frequency where synchronicity becomes your natural state. Practice this tonight, then engage below. Don't just watch and leave. Comment with these exact words. I am ready to receive what seeks me. Let this become your signal to the universe. Your declaration that you're shifting from the frequency of searching to the frequency of receiving. When you practice this tonight, you'll experience something subtle yet revolutionary. Patterns you've been blind to will suddenly illuminate. Synchronicities that were always present but invisible to your previous awareness will reveal themselves. The universe isn't suddenly starting to work for you. You're finally learning to work with universal flow. There's a deeper dimension to this practice that amplifies everything. After acknowledging those 3 gifts, sit with this inquiry. What was I believing about myself, about existence, about possibility right before each gift materialized? Here's what you'll uncover. Each treasure didn't arrive randomly, but at the exact moment your consciousness transitioned from one frequency to another. From doubt to receptivity, from resistance to allowing, from grasping to releasing. That transition created the opening. Once you recognize this pattern consciously, you gain the power to create openings deliberately. You stop waiting for life to force readiness upon you and start choosing readiness as your natural state. Let me transport you to another revelation, one that exposes why traditional effort might be the very barrier preventing your desires from manifesting. This contains a principle most people spend lifetimes rejecting. In the volcanic territories where Earth's molten heart approaches the surface, there lived a legendary metalsmith named Marcus Reverja. His forge resonated with frequencies that visitors claimed echoed in their consciousness days after departing. But Marcus harbored a hidden frustration. For decades, he'd perfected the art of dominating metal through will, hammering, forcing, shaping through raw strength and precision. He was renowned across realms for his ability to command iron, to make steel surrender to his vision, until one dawn, his hammer exploded against a metal that absolutely refused to yield. He tried everything: extreme heat, different techniques, stronger implements. Nothing succeeded. The metal rejected him completely. Exhausted and bewildered, he collapsed beside his cooling forge that evening. In the liminal space between consciousness and sleep, something extraordinary occurred. He sensed the metal communicating, not through words, but through pure knowing. Your force generates resistance. Your surrender reveals my essence. I'm not meant to be conquered. I'm meant to flow into form. When Marcus awakened, everything transformed. He approached that same defiant metal, but this time, instead of dominating, he listened. He sensed the metal's inherent desire to transform. He moved with its rhythm rather than against it. And when he did, when he stopped trying to control and started collaborating with the material, miracles manifested. Alloys lighter than air, yet stronger than diamonds. Blades that wouldn't cut flesh, but slice through illusion. Shields that deflected fear instead of arrows. News spread rapidly. A warrior prince crossed deserts demanding Marcus's secret. "There is no secret," Marcus replied, cradling a glowing ingot like precious life. "I simply sense what wants to emerge, and I assist its arrival." Let that penetrate deeply. How much of your existence have you spent forcing outcomes, battling resistance, fighting to make things happen through pure determination? And how often has that forcing created the exact obstacles you sought to overcome? Here's the truth that revolutionizes everything. Creation doesn't respond to domination. It responds to collaboration. When you stop fighting universal currents and start flowing with them, you become a conduit for power inaccessible through force alone. Your desires don't manifest because you wrestled them into existence. They manifest because you aligned with the natural emergence of what's already attempting to unfold. This is where most people remain trapped. They believe manifestation requires mental discipline, visualizing harder, affirming louder, believing stronger. But authentic manifestation, the kind generating lasting transformation, isn't about force. It's about harmony. The universe isn't waiting for you to prove worthiness through struggle. It's waiting for you to soften enough to receive what's already designated for you. This is the revelation every master creator, every genuine artist, every person who's birthed something truly extraordinary eventually discovers. You cannot force brilliance. You can only cultivate conditions where brilliance naturally emerges. You cannot dominate beauty into existence. You can only align so completely that it flows through you unobstructed. Marcus's transformation wasn't about learning new techniques. It was about releasing old programming, the belief that control equals power. He discovered that authentic power comes from partnership, from recognizing you're not separate from the forces you're shaping, but part of the same unified field. When you honor that unity, when you work with the intelligence already present in the material, in the moment, in the situation, miracles become standard. This applies everywhere in your life. Relationships, career, creative expressions, spiritual evolution. Whenever you're forcing, you're generating resistance. Whenever you're flowing, you're generating possibility. But here's the nuance. Flowing doesn't mean passive. It doesn't mean abandoning action or decisions. It means your actions and decisions arise from alignment rather than anxiety, from presence rather than panic, from trust rather than fear. You can physically feel the difference when you're forcing. Tight jaw, shallow breathing, tense shoulders. When you're flowing, there's effort, sometimes tremendous effort, but it's effortless. It doesn't drain you, it energizes you. Here's how to embody this principle immediately. Pause reading. Sit upright. Place your hands on your knees, palms upward. This isn't merely symbolic, it's energetic. You're physically opening to receive rather than remaining closed in effort. Now breathe consciously, not automatically. With each exhale, release one layer of control. Inhale slowly. Internally affirm, I am the universe flowing freely. Exhale completely. Let tension dissolve from your shoulders, jaw, hands. Actually feel it releasing. Inhale again. I am divine will in motion. Exhale. Release mental resistance, that tight grip on outcomes, that fear that without force, nothing happens. Inhale. I am perfect cosmic timing. Exhale. Surrender the need to control when and how your life unfolds. Continue for at least 2 minutes, maybe longer, until you feel something shift internally, until you feel lighter, more receptive, like molten metal ready to flow into whatever form life has prepared. This isn't passivity. This is the most powerful position available. Because when you stop blocking the universe with effort, you allow it to move through you with effortless precision. Pause and share below. What's one area where you've been forcing instead of flowing? What would surrendering that struggle look like? Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs today. Marcus's forge still exists, not physically, but as principle. Every time you choose flow over force, harmony over struggle, you're standing at that forge, letting reality shape you into something more magnificent than you could have engineered yourself. Here's what nobody reveals about divine timing. Let me share something that might shatter everything you believe about how existence operates. You think you're behind schedule. You think you've missed chances. You think, if only you discovered this wisdom 5 years ago, 10 years ago, everything would be different now. But here's what changes everything. You are precisely on time. The reason you're watching this now, not last year, not next month, but now, is because this is the exact moment your consciousness can absorb what's being transmitted. If you'd encountered this teaching earlier, you would have understood it intellectually, but not embodied it. The experiences you've lived, the pain you've processed, the confusion you've navigated, all of it was preparing your awareness for these seeds to germinate. The universe doesn't miscalculate timing. Consider the stories we've explored. Jessica's mystical marketplace didn't operate on customer desire. It operated on customer readiness. The copper bowl existed long before the traveler appeared, but it only activated, only realized its full potential when his consciousness matched its frequency. The same applies to you right now. This teaching has existed in various forms for millennia, but it's appearing in your reality now because now is when you can transform through it. Now is when your soul has evolved sufficiently to not just hear these words, but let them restructure your existence. There's a quantum physics phenomenon called the observer effect. It reveals that observation changes what's being observed. Particles exist in superposition, all possible states simultaneously, until observed when they collapse into one specific reality. Your consciousness operates identically. The teachings you're ready for collapse into your reality the moment you're capable of observing them at their deepest level. Not surface comprehension, not intellectual agreement, but embodied recognition. You've been walking toward this moment your entire life. Every book that didn't quite satisfy was pointing you here. Every teacher who helped but couldn't complete your journey was preparing you for this. Every moment of confusion, every dark night of the soul, every time you almost surrendered but didn't, it was all part of the navigation system bringing you to this exact frequency. So no, you're not late, you're not behind, you haven't missed anything, you're perfectly on time, and that stirring you feel hearing this, that's not just emotion, that's recognition, your soul remembering what it's always known but forgot, while navigating a world that taught you to doubt cosmic intelligence. What we're exploring today is the recognition principle, understanding that readiness unlocks what's already present. Let me take you deeper into this, because it's one of the most liberating realizations you'll ever experience. When you truly understand that you're not behind schedule, that your window hasn't closed, that the universe hasn't overlooked you, something fundamental transforms in how you navigate existence. You stop racing. You stop pushing. You stop living in the anxiety of, I should have done this sooner, or what if it's too late? Instead, you begin trusting the unfolding. You start recognizing that every delay was actually preparation. Every detour was actually protection. Every moment of waiting was actually maturation. Consider how fruit ripens. An apple doesn't mature faster because you're impatient. It ripens according to natural laws beyond your control. Sunlight, temperature, time. Pick it prematurely, it's bitter. Wait too long, it decays. But harvest it at the perfect moment, it's divine. Your life operates identically. There are teachings you can only integrate at specific developmental stages. Opportunities you can only perceive when your awareness has sufficiently expanded. Relationships you can only maintain when your consciousness has evolved to hold them. This doesn't mean passive waiting for universal delivery. It means staying active, engaged, present, but from trust rather than desperation. You take action because you're inspired, not because you're terrified of falling behind. Here's what's miraculous about this shift. When you stop racing ahead of your readiness, when you start trusting your timing, opportunities begin materializing that were completely hidden before. Not because they weren't there, but because you weren't there. Your consciousness wasn't calibrated to the frequency where they could register. Now, let's address something most spiritual teachers won't reveal because it undermines their entire business model. But first, I want to hear from you. Comment below with one moment when something appeared at exactly the right time, when universal timing was undeniable. When you share these stories, you're not just reflecting, you're activating that same recognition for others while strengthening the pattern in your own field. Most spiritual paths encourage seeking, searching, journeying far and wide for truth. And there's value there. Movement creates momentum, questions open doorways, exploration expands awareness. But there's a shadow side to seeking that nobody discusses. When you're constantly searching for the next teaching, the next breakthrough, the next consciousness level, you're operating from lack frequency. You're telling the universe, what I have isn't enough. Where I am isn't enough. Who I am isn't enough. And the universe, being the perfect mirror it is, responds by giving you more to seek. The cosmic marketplace doesn't open its deepest treasures to desperate searchers. It opens to those who've become still enough to receive. This is transformation's central paradox. You can't find what you're seeking by seeking. You find it by becoming someone who no longer needs to seek because they've recognized everything they sought was already within them. Jessica's items didn't reveal themselves to seekers who came demanding, grasping, trying to acquire. They revealed themselves to those who had searched long enough to finally stop searching, who had journeyed far enough to realize the journey was always internal. The traveler who received the copper bowl, his searching was complete, not because he found the object, but because his consciousness had evolved beyond seeking frequency into recognition frequency. Can you feel the difference? Seeking is external. Recognition is internal. Seeking says, I need something I don't have. Recognition says, I'm ready to perceive what's already here. This doesn't mean you stop growing or learning. It means you shift from chasing energy to unfolding energy, from lack vibration to readiness vibration. And that shift, that subtle but profound energetic recalibration, changes everything. There's a Zen teaching that captures this perfectly. A student asks a master, how long until I achieve enlightenment? The master responds, 10 years. The student, eager and ambitious, says, but what if I work twice as hard? The master replies, then 20 years. Do you see what's being revealed? The harder you seek, the further you move from what you're seeking. Because seeking creates separation. It reinforces the belief that what you want is elsewhere, elsewhen, someone else. But recognition dissolves separation. It reveals that what you've been seeking was never absent. You were just looking past it, through it, beyond it. Convinced truth must be more complicated, more distant, more difficult than it actually is. This is the great cosmic joke. The treasure you've searched for across continents and decades has been in your own backyard the entire time. Not metaphorically, literally. It's been in your awareness, your presence, your simple capacity to see what is rather than what should be. The moment you stop seeking and start seeing, everything you need begins revealing itself. Not because it's finally arriving, but because you finally arrived at the consciousness that can receive it. Let me show you what's really encoded in these ancient stories. When the text speaks of merchants and blacksmiths, when it describes impossible objects and mystical transformations, it's not asking you to believe in magic. It's asking you to recognize the magic already operating in your life, invisible, only because you've been trained not to see it. Every person you've met was either teacher or student, often both simultaneously. Every challenge you faced was either prison or classroom, depending on your perception. Every moment has been a cosmic transaction, the universe offering exactly what you needed to evolve, and you either accepting or refusing based on your readiness level. The marketplace isn't somewhere else. It's here. It's now. It's the possibility field surrounding you every moment. And you are both Jessica and the traveler. You are both the merchant with impossible wares and the seeker finally ready to receive them. Part of you holds treasures you don't yet know how to access. Gifts awaiting the rest of you to catch up. Potential that's dormant not because it's unavailable, but because you haven't become the consciousness that can activate it. Another part of you walks through the marketplace right now, eyes opening to what's always been available, hands finally empty enough to receive instead of grasp. This is the teaching beneath the teaching. You're not separate from the universe distributing wisdom. You are the universe in human form, remembering itself through your experiences, awakening through your awareness. The book that appears when you're ready isn't out there. It's in here, written in the language of your own becoming. Every time you choose awareness over unconsciousness, presence over distraction, surrender over force, you're reading another page. Why most people never receive what's available. Let's get uncomfortably honest. Most people will watch this video and feel inspired. They'll nod along, maybe get emotional, sense something profound stirring, then click away, return to regular programming, and within days, forget this ever happened. Why? Because receiving requires more than interest. It requires integration. And integration requires actual change, not just intellectual agreement with change, but rewiring daily behaviors, automatic reactions, unconscious patterns. The universe is infinitely abundant, offering you everything constantly. But you can only receive what your current identity has space to hold. If your identity is built around struggle, you'll unconsciously reject ease when it appears. If your identity is built around unworthiness, you'll sabotage gifts before fully receiving them. If your identity is built around seeking, you'll look past what's right in front of you, convinced real treasure must be elsewhere. This is why the teaching emphasizes readiness over effort. You can't force readiness. You can't fake it. Your nervous system knows truth. Your energy field broadcasts your actual state, not your desired state. And the universe responds to what you are, not what you claim to be. So how do you become ready? Not by adding more practices, knowledge, or spiritual credentials. By releasing what blocks your readiness. By identifying beliefs, stories, and identities, keeping you vibrating at frequencies where the deepest gifts can't reach you. For some, it's believing you must earn love, success, wisdom through suffering. For others, it's the story that you're fundamentally broken, needing fixing. For others still, it's the identity of being behind, late, not enough. These aren't just thoughts. They're energetic barriers. Until you dismantle them, you'll keep encountering the same lessons in different forms, wondering why the universe isn't delivering what you've requested. It is delivering. You're just not receiving. The practice of active receiving. Right now, do something that might feel strange. Say aloud, I am ready. Don't qualify it. Don't add, I'm ready for love, or I'm ready for abundance, or I'm ready when the time is right. Just I am ready. Feel what happens in your body when you say that. Notice resistance. Notice if your mind immediately lists reasons why you're not actually ready. Notice if fear, doubt, or unworthiness arises. That noticing, that awareness of what blocks your readiness, is the first step toward clearing it. Say it again, but this time while speaking, consciously release one thing keeping you unready. Maybe it's a grudge. Maybe it's a failure you're replaying. Maybe it's a version of yourself you're forcing instead of allowing to emerge. I am ready. Release. I am ready. Release. Continue until you feel a shift, until the words stop feeling false and start feeling like recognition, like your soul has been waiting for your mind to catch up, and finally they're meeting in the same moment. This is active receiving. Not passively hoping for universal delivery, but actively creating internal conditions where what's seeking you can finally land. Here's what I want you to understand. The moment you genuinely embody this frequency, reality reorganizes around you. Not eventually, immediately. Opportunities appear. Conversations shift. People resonating with your new vibration enter your field. Circumstances align in ways that would seem impossible from your previous consciousness. Why? Because you've stopped broadcasting lack and started broadcasting readiness, and the universe responds to your broadcast with perfect precision. The collective field of readiness. Take a moment now and comment below with one single word. Just one word capturing the energy you're choosing to embody from this point forward. Not what you hope to feel, not what sounds spiritual, but the actual energetic signature you're committing to. Maybe it's ready, maybe open, maybe aligned, or receiving, or present. Whatever word rises in you, that's your declaration to the quantum field. Your signal that you're no longer the person who started watching this video. You've shifted. And that shift, though seemingly small, is actually seismic at the consciousness level. Here's why this matters more than you realize. When you make public declaration, when you energize your intention by naming it in community, you're not just speaking to yourself. You're speaking to the collective field. And the collective field holds you accountable in ways private thoughts never can. Hundreds, maybe thousands are watching right now, each at their own readiness stage, each carrying their own frequency. But when you all declare together, when you all drop a word signaling your new energetic stance, you create collective resonance. And that collective resonance amplifies what's possible for everyone within it. This is how movements begin, not with leaders directing followers, but with groups of individuals simultaneously choosing new frequencies and supporting each other in maintaining them. So don't skip this. Don't watch passively. Drop your word. Make your declaration. Join the field of those no longer seeking because they've recognized they're ready to receive. Here's the rewritten version, maintaining approximately the same length while enhancing flow and engagement for your YouTube audience. And if what you've experienced today is stirring something deep within you, if you feel a resonance beyond intellectual understanding, then I invite you to subscribe, not just to this channel, but to this frequency, to this space where consciousness meets practical transformation, to this community of souls awakening together, supporting each other in maintaining coherence, alignment, and elevation. Because here's the ultimate truth. The more of us who embody this, the more reality mirrors this truth back to us. We're no longer isolated seekers. We're a collective force. And every person who shifts from seeking to receiving, from force to flow, from lack to readiness, they create an easier path for the next person to follow. This is how reality transforms, one consciousness at a time, one declaration at a time, one moment of readiness at a time. The book that's always been yours. Let me bring this full circle. The book that only appears when the universe knows you're ready. You're already reading it. It's not a physical object waiting on some mystical shelf. It's the living scripture of your own awakening. Every experience you've lived is a chapter. Every person you've encountered is a character revealing something about yourself. Every challenge is a plot twist designed to deepen your understanding. Every breakthrough is a revelation showing you what you've been capable of all along. You are simultaneously the reader and the story, the seeker and the treasure, the question and the answer. And the readiness you've been waiting for? It's not something that happens to you. It's something you choose repeatedly, in small moments and monumental ones. Every time you release control and trust flow, every time you recognize perfect timing instead of resisting delay, every time you shift from seeking to receiving. That's readiness. Not a destination you reach, but a frequency you tune into. And you've been tuning to it your entire life, even in moments when you felt lost, especially in those moments. Because sometimes the greatest readiness emerges from the deepest confusion. The ancient masters understood this. That's why their stories always include darkness before illumination, confusion before clarity, the hero's descent into the underworld before returning with treasure. Because readiness isn't cultivated in comfort. It's forged through challenge. Not through the challenge itself, but through how you meet it. Every difficulty you've faced has been an invitation to deepen your trust. Every loss has been an opportunity to discover what's eternal. Every moment of unknowing has been a portal into knowing that transcends intellectual comprehension. And if you're honest with yourself, you'll recognize that your greatest breakthroughs didn't come during easy times. They came when you were at capacity's edge, forced to either collapse or expand. And you expanded, not because you were special or chosen or spiritually advanced, but because when faced with that choice, some part of you, the deepest, truest part, chose growth over safety. That part is what's being activated right now. Not the part seeking comfort, not the part wanting guarantees, but the part that desires truth more than ease. The part willing to be transformed even when transformation is uncomfortable. This is what readiness actually feels like. Not peaceful bliss, but a live willingness. The recognition that you'd rather evolve through discomfort than stagnate in comfort. So here's my final invitation. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for some external authority to declare that now, finally, you're ready. You're ready now. You've always been ready. You just needed to remember. The marketplace is open. The forge is lit. The copper bowl is humming with recognition. And the universe is watching, not to judge, but to witness the moment you stop seeking and start receiving. Everything you've ever wanted is waiting for you to become the person who no longer needs to want it. Let that be your new frequency. Let that be your declaration. Let that be the truth you carry forward from this moment on. You are ready. The universe knows it. And now, so do you. This moment right here, this is the threshold. Not between who you were and who you'll become, but between the version of you that doubts readiness and the version that embodies it. Both exist simultaneously. Both are available right now. The only question is which one you're going to feed with your attention, your energy, your belief. Because here's the final truth nobody reveals. The universe isn't testing your readiness to determine your worthiness. It's responding to your readiness because that's how the system operates. Consciousness recognizes consciousness. Frequency attracts frequency. And the moment you stop performing readiness and start being it, everything you've been preparing for begins flowing towards you. Not in some distant future. Now, in the decisions you make today, in how you show up for yourself tonight, in the lens through which you interpret tomorrow's challenges and opportunities. The book has appeared. The teaching has found you. The cosmic marketplace has opened its doors, and you're standing at the threshold with everything you need to walk through. The only question remaining is, will you? Will you choose the frequency of readiness over the comfort of familiar limitation? Will you trust that what's seeking you is worth surrendering the identity you've been gripping? Will you allow yourself to be transformed by the very teaching you've been requesting? If the answer is yes, and I sense it is, otherwise you wouldn't still be here, then your entire life is about to reflect that yes back to you in ways that will leave you breathless. Not because the universe rewards belief, but because the universe is you. And when you shift, it shifts. When you open, it opens. When you say yes to readiness, reality says yes to possibility. This is the teaching beneath all teachings, the secret hidden in plain sight, the treasure that was never lost, only waiting for you to recognize it. You are ready. You've always been ready. And everything that happens from this moment forward will prove that truth to you repeatedly, in ways both subtle and extraordinary. Welcome home.